Hey, welcome to Rust Revival Garage. My name is Tim. Do you have a Squarebody? I do. And I bet if you've got a Squarebody, it has a sticky steering wheel. And there is nothing worse than that. I've got the Hot Rod Power Tour coming up in about a month and a half. And it's going to be out in the sun, and that steering wheel is going to get super sticky. So I think I may have a way to permanently fix that problem without buying a new one. So let's get to it. Alright, so here's my steering wheel in all of its original glory. You can see there's a big crack in there. It just really looks kind of worn, looks dull, and this is just sticky. It's not terribly bad, but I mean, if you start to run your finger across it, you can feel it grabbing. So let's see what we can do with this thing. This will be sort of our before picture. First thing we want to do is take this up out, and then that's where we're going to need to take off this bolt. Alright, so this is a 13/16 to get that nut out. These, it's a whole host of things. It's Torx 20 to get this out. There's 3 screws in here. There's a lot of videos out there on taking off your steering wheel, so I'm not trying to cover everything like this perfectly, but just kind of wanted to give you an idea of all the stuff that has to be done. And then this piece comes out. Now this plate pops off. Oops. And again, this has to go back in the same way. You can see how it's sort of curved. So I've got to put that in with the curve up. It gives it a spring. Now these are the 2 bolt holes where we're going to put in the steering wheel puller and take the steering wheel off. The other thing you gotta kind of watch out for is this little horn spring. I'm going to take that out so that I don't lose it. So yeah, got both bolts in there for the steering wheel puller. Got to make sure that this centerpiece is right on that wheel stud. Tighten it down. And then here we use the 3/4 to bring the steering wheel up. And there we go. Now you don't need the steering wheel puller to put it back on. Alright, here's a little better look at it now that I've got it in the garage. Set up a table with all the stuff I need. But yeah, you can just see here. See how it's kind of like really worn on these edges? Somebody was driving this with their hands there. And it's not terribly sticky, but you can just tell it's worn. And it's been sticky. I know it from experience that it gets sticky when it sits in the sun. So we're gonna see if we can't bring it back to life a little bit. So apparently it's the resin that's in the steering wheel itself, the plastic, the rubber, whatever it is that they use to form that steering wheel had glue in it. And the heat over the years, heat from your hands, heat from the sun, all of that, bringing that resin back out. The resin is glue. And that is what's making your hands stick to the wheel. And you know, all the original coating that was on there gets worn off, gets baked off over time, and that's what's coming out now because there's nothing really to hold it back in. So what we're going to do is clean it up and then seal it up again. That's the whole point of this. It's not to, you know, just totally, you know, redo it and get a brand new one, but we're just going to take it back to where it was in its original factory form. All right, so what do we need to do to restore our steering wheel and not make it sticky anymore? Let's take a look at the things I'm going to use. First things, I just kind of want to clean it. I'm a Windex fan. I'm an idiot. I know I use it on everything. But I'm going to clean it up. I've got paper towels, but then I've also got a wax and grease remover. This is made by Pour 15. It's a pretty strong wax and grease remover, but you can use pretty much anything. Scuffing it up, of course, with just sort of the SOS pad, Brillo pad, whatever. Not Brillo, I think that's too sharp. But I just want to make sure it's scuffed up a little bit and not too smooth. Some clean towels, of course, just to be able to wipe it. And I would recommend gloves. The reason why I don't like to use gloves is I'll tend to touch something and then not realize maybe my finger is wet or it's coated with something, and then I'll touch it again. Touch something else and mess it up. When I've got nothing on my fingers, I can sort of feel, hey, this is okay. But what you don't want to do is, once you've got the steering wheel completely cleaned, you do not want to touch it with your fingers. So I'm going to always keep a towel handy, clean towel handy, to hold on to it, to move it around, to do all of that stuff with. And then I'll set it back down and then pick it up again with the towel, because your oils in your fingers will get into the steering wheel after you've cleaned it and completely ruin it. And it'll keep that paint from sealing as effectively as you want it to. So nothing crazy. This is literally just getting the dust and stuff off of it from being inside the truck. All the dead skin that it collects and dust and everything else. I just want to get a good initial clean going. And I'm starting on the back because that actually is the worst. There's all that stuff that's on the back of the steering wheel itself. There's just a lot of dust. Now right now I'm touching it with my fingers, but I'm not going to do that once I've got it cleaned off. That's when I'm going to do the wax and grease remover. But you really, really need to get in there and get every little bit of dust in every little corner. As you can see, it collects down in there. I want to try to get that out. And I mean, just look at this. This was a clean paper towel and it's already nasty. All right, now I'm going to do the front. Now I'm not going to paint down in here. Don't really need to, and or don't want to really mess anything up. But I am going to clean it. If I'm here, I might as well take care of it. Now where it gets tricky, see that line? We're going to have to get down in there with the wax and grease remover, because I've sprayed it. It's not even wet. And so yeah, it's going to definitely require us to be able to get down and clean every little corner, every place where stuff can hide. We got to clean that, because the paint won't stick otherwise. All right, so we got our initial clean done. Like I said, it is a lot more gross than you think it is. Now it's time for our wax and grease remover. Another good thing to have, of course, is just a cloth you can put down so you're not going to ruin anything. I want to get it nice and wet. Again, we want to get down into those little edges and corners as best we can. I might even grab a Q-tip or two. See, now I've just cleaned it. And look, that's from doing just a couple of inches along the steering wheel. And that was after I cleaned it. I mean, look at that. Don't just Windex the heck out of your steering wheel and then start painting. Get down in there. Yeah, look at that. Now, I kind of want to stop using paper towels at this point. Paper can leave little traces of paper, and you kind of don't want that in there. But right now what I'm doing is doing the wax and grease remover. I'm using a towel. I'll get the back after this, but right now I'm focusing on the front of the steering wheel, the top, trying to avoid getting my arm touching the steering wheel itself. Because again, you've got oils in your body, and those oils will transfer to that steering wheel easily. Getting all my corners. So again, we've cleaned it. Now we've done the wax and grease remover, and look at the cloth. Look how nasty it gets. So if you think you're done, you're not done. I'm going to do this a couple more times. Won't show you that, but again, just wax and grease remover, rinsing it off or toweling it off, getting it as clean as possible, not touching it with my skin. Round 2, fresh new clean towel. This was the one I used before. It still has stuff on there. So if you think you're getting it completely clean, just one round, you're good to go. Or you're not good to go. I mean, this is just kind of shows that there's more on there. Might even do a third time because this is 40 years old. And it's been used by I don't know how many hands for how many years. And it just has so much crap on it that I'm just going to give it another shot. I just really want this to work. You know what? I changed my mind on the gloves. I'm going to put them on because I need to scruff up the steering wheel. And there's kind of no way I'm going to be able to move around and really get into this and not touch it. You know, the towel is just going to be too slippery. So I'm going to use gloves. But again, I want to make sure I don't touch it with my forearms, because that is a danger too. Yep, see, I just touched it there. I'm gonna have to go back over it again with the wax and grease remover, so that's okay. Because I want to get, if there's any kind of dust that comes off of this from the scruffing it up, I want to get that off as well. I don't know what kind of scrubber this is. It's like the real light one. It's not super rough. It's not like 80 grit sandpaper. It's just a light scruffing. I also realized I did not get down into this line here. I'm gonna have to get another Q-tip and get this, because if you look in there, see how it's lighter? The other part's been cleaned, that hasn't. Back to raid my wife's collection of Q-tips. Now that I've got it all scruffed up, another wax and grease remover, and I'm gonna go ahead and use the Q-tips on this. See? So I've gone around this a couple times and it's still coming up black. Years and years of resin, grease, grime, dirt, skin oils. I mean, that's crazy. Seems like a lot, but again, you want it to work. You don't want it to fade off after another year, maybe even less. All right, dropped in some tape in there on the metal. I'm gonna focus on the front. And then after that's had a chance to all dry up, I will do the back. If you look on here, this is the third brand new rag I've used. It's still got stuff on it. It's even worse on this side because I got down in the corners here, and on the other side it's even tighter, but I got down into that corner. And so yeah, I mean, no matter how many times you clean this, you may not get it all off, but right now it's looking pretty good. In fact, if you look at it, it looks better than it did, you know, before I started, and I haven't painted it. Now, the one thing that I'm sure everybody is asking is, what paint do you use? This is the trick. You can't really just use any old black paint because it's not going to work. It's not going to stick. You don't want to use, I don't think, the vinyl fabric repair paint. I've used that in the past on trim pieces and it works pretty well, but this is a steering wheel that your hands are going to be on all the time. So what I would recommend is SEM, the color coat, and it is 15013. I'll put a link down in the description, but it's a color called Landau Black. Now, Landau Black is perfect for steering wheels because it's not a glossy shine, and it is a very, very similar color to what the steering wheel originally was when it came from the factory. It won't have that shine. It won't look like when I'm done with this, it may not look any better than it did when I just showed you after wax and grease removal. It may not be really any better looking, but it will be sealed, and we won't get that resin coming back up at anymore, hopefully, fingers crossed. So I'm gonna go ahead and shake this up for several minutes and be right back. Did kind of want to point out on the back of the can, it says color coat is not a dye, fade resistant and flexible, permanent coating. This is what we want. It's not really paint, it's not dyeing it, it is a coating. And so it basically gives the same prep information. Basically it says use soap, surface cleaner. We've already done that. So good to go. It also says hold it for 6 to 8 inches away, of course. The trick is with this, you do not want to do one heavy coat. Very light coats, 5 to 10 minutes waiting in between each time. Now it's really humid here today. Like I'm sweating and it's probably not even 68 degrees, 69 degrees. So it's humid. I'm going to wait about 10 minutes between each coat, but I'm just going to do a light coat, light coat, light coat. I'm not going to do any heavy coats. I'm just going to cover the steering wheel slowly. It'd be tempting to do one light coat, maybe 2 light coats, and then bomb it, but it doesn't work as well when you do it that way. When you're dealing with vinyl, plastic, rubber, anything like that, light coats is the way to go. All right, I shook it for about 2 minutes. The other thing you want to do is after you spray it, clean off the nozzle. The other thing I'm not going to try to do is touch it. At this point, I don't really need to move it around. I can move around the steering wheel. All right, that's one light coat. 10 minutes, we'll be right back. Ah, now I know why it's so humid. It's raining. Okay, 10 minutes later. Gonna focus on the outside. All right, there's 2 light coats and 1 more to go. Okay, so cure time. Let's talk about that for a second. The cure time on this is 24 hours. It's dry to the touch in about an hour. Basically, it does say 5 to 10 minutes between coats, light coats, dry to the touch in an hour, but do not use it for 24 hours. So it'd be tempting to get it all done, wait for an hour, and throw it on the truck and be good to go. But I'm gonna, for maximum protection, sealing, curing time, all of that, I'm gonna give it the full 24 hours. But next coat is coming up, and that'll be my 3rd and final coat. Oh, it's really coming down now. Ooh. The other thing too is you want to be at about 70 degrees on average, which I think is 21 Celsius. But you want to be able to make sure that it can cure. If it's super, super hot, super, super cold, this may not work, or the curing time may be a lot longer. So keep that in mind. 10 minutes later, we are back at it. I'm gonna do the outside again. Just another light coat. All right, what do we think? I know it's wet, looks a little shinier, but once that dries, it's going to be that more of a flat black color. But as you can see, it looks pretty good. Now you might say, Tim, it's a big hassle. Why not just get a new steering wheel? You saw the stuff I used to do this. Wax and grease remover, $5, $6, $7. Brillo pads, you know, those scouring pads, a couple bucks. Paper towels, Windex, I mean gloves, it's a little bit of tape, it's nothing. The most expensive thing was the paint. Got it off of Amazon for like $24. I'll have a link in the description below if you want to pick it up too, but I mean not very expensive. If you take a look at the prices for steering wheels, Summit's got one 78 to 87 for $188. Direct Auto Metal Direct $219. Jegs, it's got a weird one for $250. It's those aftermarket weird ones. $229 from CJ Pony Parts. I spent maybe 30 bucks, 40 bucks. I mean, and literally this video is going to be like 10 minutes long, and it's mostly me talking. It doesn't take that long to do this, and it's not as expensive as buying a brand new one, and you're keeping it stock. Who knows what the replacement's going to be like? If the new steering wheel is going to be any better, I don't know. I mean, but this is going to look good. It's not going to be sticky anymore I'll be dead before this thing is sticky again. I would almost bet, like I said, fingers crossed. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense to do this. It doesn't make sense to just spend, 200 and something for a steering wheel, another 40, 50 bucks maybe to ship it these days because of gas prices. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, and this was nothing. I had everything I had the paint sent to my house. I didn't even have to go to a parts store. So, it definitely is a good idea to do this if you want to restore your steering wheel and save a lot of money. Again, you could order it, have it shipped to you, put it on, and you're done. But I don't have much time at all invested in this at all. What's interesting is the little parts where it wore smooth, that's actually still a little shinier. I really can't do anything about that as far as that because the texture is gone. But again, overall, it looks better and it's hopefully not going to be sticky. It's been about an hour and change. I had to go to the whole senior high school daughter's prom pictures and stuff like that, and she's off to prom now, so let's do up the other side. But that's set for 10. Coat number 2. Third and final for the back. Again, shiny. We don't want it to be shiny, but once it dries, it won't be. Look at that. It's a day later, and wow. I mean, this feels brand spanking new. I am not kidding at all. I am not making this up. It is so smooth. I mean, it's not sticky at all. You can see, like, if I try to rub my hand on it, it would stop and start before. It's almost slippery. Oh my gosh, that feels great. It looks great too. The only thing is, like I said, that where that grain had been rubbed off, it didn't really refresh that. But I mean, look at that. That is awesome. All right, so that tells me this stuff really works. Once again, SEM color coat, link down in the description. Landau Black. Make sure it's that if you've got a black steering wheel, because that's what it needed. Now, I've got one final thing I want to do to this in order to completely refresh my steering wheel. This is going to increase the budget. Now, I know I talked about doing it very low budget, but for me, it was also about making it look good too. And yeah, I could have bought a new one, but again, it's still going to be less money with what I'm putting on here now than buying a new one. All right, I got this from USA One Industries. It is that new piece. Look at that. I mean, that looks, again, brand new. All right, all I have to do is get this back in. There it is in its new home. And when you're putting this on, make sure that this little like squared out piece in here is at the top. That way that fits right there. There it is. And the horn works. What do we think, kids? That looks pretty. Now everything in here looks a lot newer. But there we go. So that's going to do it for this episode. I hope this helps you out in your problem with the sticky steering wheel. It's pretty much universal for a lot of older cars. They all have that same glue in it, and the resins that come up out of it just make them sticky. And this is supposed to be a coating, like I said, so hopefully it lasts a long time. and I can go on the power tour and not have it be stuck to my hands. Ooh. So give me a like if you got anything out of the video, if this helped you at all. Give me a comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions, and subscribe if you're not already to the channel. I'm going to be taking this truck on the Hot Rod Power Tour in June. We're going to be doing Route 66, the 100th anniversary, from Joliet, Illinois, all the way down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it should be a fun time. And let me know if you're going to be riding along with me. I've got to go from Columbus, Ohio, all the way over to Joliet to get started. That's a big 5-hour-long trip. So subscribe to the channel if you can. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.